Hello, and welcome to this news event held by E2 and Evergreen Climate Solutions. You'll be hearing from six speakers today, and then we'll open the floor for questions during the Q&A period. The Q&A period will be for reporters only, and if you wish to ask a question, you can use the raise your hand function, and your line will be unmuted when it's your turn to ask a question. For more info, you can go to cleanjobsmidwest.com, where you can find the reports for the region in each state, as well as news releases. And we're also going to throw a link to that in the chat right now. So, there you go. So as I mentioned, you'll be hearing from six speakers today. First, Ian Adams, Managing Director at Evergreen Climate Solutions. Second, Michaela Preskill, Midwest Advocate at E2. Third, Isaiah Field, Development Analyst at the Illinois-based solar company Trajectory Energy Partners. Fourth, Nate Baggio, Senior Vice President of Commercial Development at Lion Electric. Fifth, Rick Stockberger, President and CEO of Bright Energy Innovators in Warren, Ohio. And sixth, Senator Tammy Duckworth. So let's go ahead and begin with our first speaker, Ian Adams, Managing Director at Evergreen Climate Innovations. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. My name is Ian. I'm the Managing Director at Evergreen Climate Innovations. We're a nonprofit that provides catalytic capital and support to entrepreneurs and startups that bring impactful technologies to market here in the Midwest. We really believe in the power of climate innovation to create jobs, and we work with really exciting businesses every day that are generating these jobs. And so we're excited to be here today. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to be releasing our 2023 Clean Jobs Midwest report. This is the 8th annual edition of the Clean Jobs Midwest report that Evergreen has been putting on with E2. And it's really a report that covers clean energy and clean transportation employment across the 12 Midwestern states. What we see in both large and small firms is the growth in jobs in this sector. Companies are expanding facilities, hiring, and introducing new technologies to the region. A few top lines and takeaways from the report. The clean energy and clean transportation sectors added more than 25,000 jobs in 2022 and now employ more than 734,000 Midwesterners. This includes categories like energy efficiency. So think about building efficiency upgrades and more efficient materials and mechanicals for construction. Renewable energy generation like wind and solar. Clean transportation like new electric vehicles and the supply chain that goes along with it. And grid and storage and clean fuels. Now, Midwest clean energy jobs actually grew by more than 3% in 2022, which was 50% faster than the region's overall economy. This growth was really driven by clean transportation, thinking about electrifying vehicles, which grew by 11% and added more than 12,000 jobs. Michigan now employs the most clean energy workers in the region with nearly 124,000, followed closely by Illinois and then Ohio. And then energy efficiency continues to be the largest sector in the clean energy industry, employing nearly 488,000 people in the Midwest. From wind and solar to electric vehicles and beyond, we really think the Midwest stands to benefit from these growing sectors. We see a lot of innovation occurring at the earliest stages, but there's both innovation happening and growth happening across the value chain and from small businesses to large businesses. It's a really good time to be in this space, and we're excited about the growth potential of the industry, especially as federal and state investments start to bear fruit. So we're excited to be here today. I just want to reiterate how happy we are to be releasing the report and sharing the results here and hearing the other speakers. So look forward to your questions and the other comments.
Thank you again. That was Ian Adams, Managing Director at Evergreen Climate Innovations. And we're going to go to our second speaker, Michaela Preskill, Midwest Advocate at E2.
Thank you. My name is Michaela Preskill, and I'm E2's Midwest Advocate. E2 is a national nonpartisan group of business leaders from every sector of the economy who advocate for policies that are good for the environment and good for the economy. So we've just heard from Ian about the data we're releasing today, and I'm here to talk about what the future can hold, especially if we get the policies right. The clean energy industry is poised for growth like we've never seen before. Just 1 year after the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, companies are investing over $86 billion in large-scale clean energy projects that will lead to the creation of thousands of new jobs. And of the 210 projects announced, almost a quarter are in Midwestern states. Complementing the federal investments, several Midwest states like Minnesota and Illinois have put in place strong state policies that will further advance clean energy goals. So this will surely lead to future job growth, and I can't wait to see what next year's release of this report will say about how the industry has continued to grow. And still, we need to ensure that we continue to keep our eye on the ball to make the most of this opportunity. With all this federal investment, states should pass policies that will help them leverage the federal investment. In Illinois, for example, that means adopting clean car standards and cleaning Chicago's building sector. We must also develop and fund workforce development programs that prioritize creating jobs in disadvantaged communities. And we must expand our regional transmission grid, as many wind and solar projects simply will not be built if the transmission is not there to integrate them. Because when clean energy jobs grow, our economy benefits. Clean energy jobs are available to everyone and cover a wide swath of our economy, from construction, manufacturing, innovation, investment, etc. They also cover every corner of all 12 Midwest states. So we know when we invest in clean energy, we can create thousands of jobs across many occupations in every state in the coming years. So next, you'll hear from 3 people in the industry who are on the ground doing the work and creating these jobs.
Great, thank you. Again, that was Michaela Preskill, Midwest Advocate at E2. So let's hear from our third speaker, Isaiah Field, Project Development Analyst at the Illinois-based solar company Trajectory Energy Partners. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. My name is Isaiah Field. I'm a Project Development Analyst at Trajectory Energy Partners. Trajectory Energy Partners is an Illinois-based company that brings together communities, organizations, and landowners to develop clean energy projects, specifically community solar. A lot goes into making a piece of land ready for building solar. My main job is to coordinate our site diligence and complete all of the necessary steps with our landowners and contractors, from geotechnical investigations to wetland surveys, to develop a buildable and impactful community solar project. I first got my start at a local construction company in my hometown of Freeport, Illinois. I'm lucky that the company I started working for also started building commercial solar sites. That's how I was first exposed to the clean energy industry. I moved up at the company starting as just an assistant project manager. Most of my training happened on the job. Eventually, I played a hybrid role and had the privilege to oversee our estimating, procurement, and engineering coordination. While working at the construction company, I was also provided with another opportunity back in 2019 to assist Trajectory part-time locally in a nearby city of Rockford, Illinois. In Rockford, Illinois, they were currently going through their community solar subscription campaign, which included hosting events and connecting with neighbors to help educate and sign people up for subscriptions that would ultimately save them much needed funds on their electric bills. Before I joined Trajectory Energy Partners, I could have pursued a job anywhere in construction, but I did want to remain in the solar sector. It's been exciting to work in a space where there's rapid growth featuring new and innovative technology. I can confidently say that what I'm building will better the lives of the people who are transitioning to clean energy. Jobs in solar are an important and growing part of the Midwest clean energy industry. Just looking at solar, this sector grew 6% across the region and added tens of thousands of jobs as policies like the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, and the Illinois Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, CEJA, continue to be implemented. The growth of this sector is likely to pick up even more. That benefits all of us. Since the passage of the IRA, Trajectory's roster has just about doubled to support the increasing workload. I've seen firsthand how the projects I've helped bring to fruition are supporting communities throughout the Midwest, whether that's bringing new jobs to former coal communities or increasing tax revenues that benefit the local school districts in small towns. I'm proud to be one of those 734,000 clean energy workers in the Midwest.
Thank you, Isaiah. Again, that was Isaiah Field, Project Development Analyst at Trajectory Energy Partners. So let's go ahead to our fourth speaker. It's going to be Nate Baggio, Senior Vice President of Commercial Development at Lion Electric. Go ahead, Nate.
Good morning, everybody. And I want to say thank you to E2 to letting me talk about this important subject today. I'm excited to take questions and talk a little bit about the Lion Electric Company. The Lion Electric Company is a manufacturer and seller of all-electric, heavy-duty, medium-duty trucks and school buses. In 2016, we delivered the first modern lithium-ion electric school bus and have been building them and deploying them across North America ever since, having more deployments than anyone else. One of the exciting things we've just accomplished that pertains exactly to this topic today is we have opened the largest medium and heavy duty all electric manufacturing plant in the United States in Joliet, Illinois. It will have a manufacturing capacity of 20,000 vehicles once it's fully up to scale, and we'll be bringing at least 1,400 jobs to the area. And also multiply that over the supply chain. A factory of that size is going to bring to the Midwest. So we are excited to bring these important products out to the public, much needed products, but also be building them in the Midwest and being close to our customers and the support of Senator Duckworth and certainly the support of Governor Pritzker in Illinois. One of the other critical things we're doing, or that is critical to our success that we're excited about, is not just job creation, but workforce planning and training. We're working with Joliet Junior College to make this factory an extension of the classroom so that we are not only creating green jobs of the future, but we are helping build and create the green worker of the future that will be working in this factory. Very excited about that. We had students from the Chicago Boys and Girls Club tour the factory to see what the possibilities are in their community to build these exciting new products, all electric school buses, all electric heavy duty trucks that we're delivering across the United States. The Midwest was important to us operationally because it's close to the customers. We're not just delivering these in California. These are going to Missouri, Illinois, Alabama, Louisiana, all over the United States, and a centrally located Midwestern state that has the human resources, the talent, the manufacturing history that we have in Illinois is exciting, and the future is bright for electric in the United States because of it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Nate. Again, that was Nate Baggio, Senior Vice President of Commercial Development at Lion Electric. Let's go to our fifth speaker now, Rick Stockberger, President and CEO of Bright Energy Innovators. Go ahead, Rick.
Thanks so much. Well, first of all, I want to say, as the president of Bright Energy Innovators, I'm very excited every time somebody says we're ready for a bright future, because we certainly are here in the Midwest. Bright is a clean energy ecosystem in Ohio and across the Midwest that leverages industry, academia, and the government to commercialize technology faster, to give people better products that are better for the environment. Last year, we were fortunate enough to bring Ultium Cells on this press conference that had 1,100 jobs at the time. They just announced they're going to up production to 1,700 new jobs. Right in the Voltage Valley, where Warren, Ohio, where Bright sits, is the headquarters of that region. Foxconn also is employing 400 employees producing electric vehicles right in the Mahoning Valley. Bright is so proud of our ecosystem that we've built. Our startups that we engage with are currently employing over 3,000 people in Ohio in the startup space and growing clean energy technologies. And I don't know if you guys saw the press in Ohio just on yesterday, but Joby is producing electric air taxis and creating 2,000 new jobs. Needless to say, I haven't even mentioned all the new battery plants that are coming online. So manufacturing is the heartbeat of America. And with the Made in America clauses in the legislation passed last year, I'm fielding calls from all across the world. I spoke in South Korea, I spoke in Germany recently, And the thing they keep asking is, how do we build a plant in the Midwest? I'm really, really excited about all of these opportunities. And as a native Ohioan, I grew up in the Midwest. And when I was younger, and 20 some years ago, my dad lost his job in the steel industry. And today I can say those jobs are coming back thanks to hardworking Americans and great legislation that's getting passed. So thank you so much for the time and the opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Rick. Again, that was Rick Stockberger, President and CEO of Bright Energy Innovators. All right, our sixth speaker, Senator Tammy Duckworth, is running a couple of minutes late. She'll be joining us very shortly. So rather than wait for her, we're going to go ahead and take a couple questions in Q&A. And when she joins us, we'll go ahead and proceed listening to her remarks. So for report questions, we are going to be joined by Ryan Young at BW Research for any technical questions. And as a reminder, if reporters wish to ask a question, you can use the raise your hand function, and your line will be unmuted when it's your turn to ask a question. Now, as a reminder, the Q&A period is for reporters only. If you're having any issues with your own audio or the raise your hand function, you can use the text-based Q&A box, and we'll do our best to get to all of the questions. So, and I think I spoke too soon because I think we're getting Senator Duckworth joining us right now. So please stand by. Greetings, Senator Duckworth. Please unmute yourself. Thank you so much for joining. And you came just in time because it is your turn to deliver your statement before we go into Q&A. So please go ahead.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to join you all today to discuss this Clean Jobs Midwest report. It confirms something I've been working hard to support here in Washington, D.C., that the expansion of clean energy and the programs that support it are at the heart of job growth in Illinois and throughout the Midwest. I was just having a meeting with a locomotive manufacturer just 15 minutes ago who are looking to go to biodiesel and then fully electric locomotives and selling those around the country and manufacturing some components for them in Illinois. Listen, just last year, the clean energy industry grew by 4%. This means we have more than 700,000 clean energy jobs across the Midwest, with more than 100,000 of them here in Illinois. And while our biggest cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Minneapolis are some of the major hubs with these jobs, clean energy job growth isn't just something benefiting urban populations. In fact, more than 1 in 5 of those clean energy jobs are in rural communities. At the federal level, thanks to leadership from the Biden administration, we were able to secure significant support to help our country move towards that green energy future with laws like the IRA and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law in particular allocated more than $62 billion through the Department of Energy for investments and support for clean energy. That's $62 billion invested in American manufacturing workers. These investments expand access to energy efficiency and reliable, affordable, clean energy for families, communities, and businesses, and investments that help build the technologies of tomorrow through the clean energy demonstrations. I mean, in Illinois alone, since the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law was passed, more than $200 million has been allocated to our state for clean energy, energy efficiency, and power generation. Also, thanks to the IRA, which was signed into law just a little more than a year ago, we can expect to see even more growth in clean energy industries to come. The IRA was the largest investment in clean energy production in our nation's history, and it makes it cheaper for companies to manufacture the equipment needed to produce renewable energy and to build and operate clean energy infrastructure like solar, wind, geothermal, and more. And since the IRA was signed into law, hundreds of clean energy projects have already been announced across the country. In Illinois, this means more than $900 million in funding for clean energy projects and hundreds of jobs. Thanks to the IRA, new incentives like the clean energy investment and clean energy production tax credits are helping families save money while making the switch to clean energy, as well as for companies to take advantage of these benefits and grow the clean energy industry. The result in today's report makes it clear that these policies are working, but there's still a lot more to be done. If we're going to achieve our emissions goals and build a safer and more sustainable future, we do need to make sure that these incentives are not rolled back at the federal level. And we need to make sure that at the state level, we're maximizing the federal investment that's available. Supporting green manufacturing and green energy benefits all of us in so many ways. We're creating jobs, we're saving money, we're developing more sustainable, safer, and a healthier world, not just for ourselves, but for our kids and generations to come. I really want to thank you, everyone, for joining today, and I'm going to hand it back to our moderator. Thanks, everybody.
And thank you, Senator Duckworth. Again, that was Senator Tammy Duckworth, and that takes us to the Q&A portion of the call. And just a heads up that our time with Senator Duckworth is a little limited today, so if you have a question for her, please get into the queue early. As a reminder, if you wish to ask a question, use the raise your hand function, and your line will be unmuted when it's your turn to ask a question. As a reminder, the Q&A period is for reporters only. If you're having any issues with your own audio or the raise your hand function, you can use the text-based Q&A box, and we'll do our best to get to all those questions. So before I begin, I want to mention that a video recording of this news event is going to be available online today. It'll be on E2's YouTube page, and it'll also be on cleanjobsmidwest.com, and that URL is in the chat. All right, let's see here. All right, I don't have any questions in the queue yet. We will give it just a moment. Oh, and again, I spoke too soon. Looks like our first question is coming from Adam Reyes, WVPE Public Radio. Adam, go ahead and unmute yourself so you can ask your question.
Hello, thank you so much for all of you taking the time to speak with us today. I'm Adam Reyes. I'm the labor and employment reporter based at WVPE in Elkhart, Indiana, but covering the whole state. So I, real quick, wanted to ask, this is coming at a time in which we're also all talking about the UAW strikes and ongoing negotiations there. And one of the big issues in that topic is the clean energy transition for EVs and whether all of the manufacturing workers who currently work on ICE vehicles will be able to follow that transition. We know it takes fewer people to build EVs, fewer hours. Can you speak to a little bit about, policies were mentioned, that would further expand the industry? Can you speak a little bit about any policies that might support workers being able to transition from that industry, from ICE vehicles to EVs or elsewhere if there's no room for them in EVs anymore?
Well, I can kick things off broadly, and then I'll let others chime in with specifics. I think the transformation of the auto sector to address climate change and build electric vehicles represents a huge opportunity to rebuild our economy. And in doing that, we can ensure that jobs are high quality with fair wages. And as has already been mentioned, there's historic federal investments. There's never been more resources available to help the big three build the vehicles of the future here in the US. And those resources present a perfect opportunity to lift up workers and build a just transition.
Thank you, Michaela. And listen, they're going to work in adjacent industries. I'll give you an example. I was in Japan talking with Mitsubishi Logitech. They're partners with Caterpillar, and they produce things like the scissor lifts in warehouses and forklifts and all of that equipment. They're looking to switch all of the manufacture of all of those types of industrial vehicles and equipment to electric as well, because there is a demand for them across the country. Well, that industry is only going to grow, because think of all of the construction equipment, all of the scissor lifts in every warehouse. If you go shopping at a Costco or a BJ's or any one of these like I do, you see that equipment. All of that is going to go to electric. So the market demand for all of these vehicles is only going to grow as globally we switch to electric and biofuel vehicles. And so there's always, you're not going to lose jobs overall. In fact, I think we're going to grow more jobs in manufacturing when it comes to a cleaner energy future. And that's not even touching on wind power jobs. That's not touching on jobs in the new nuclear industry, all of the new jobs that are being created. It's not just about EV manufacturing.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's important to note that to build on Senator Duckworth's comments, is we will be manufacturing new things, and we will be manufacturing things that we're buying elsewhere domestically to support these green job growth, the growth in green jobs. It's batteries. With the signing of the CHIPS bill, there are going to be new jobs coming here that don't exist now, that are going to support this very aggressive and very needed forward trajectory of zero emission vehicles. So just because you're not building parts for a diesel motor, other industries are going to pop up, other supply chains. I know as a manufacturer, and I'm speaking to you as a manufacturer, we need more parts, more supply chain here domestically to continue what we're doing. So I don't see a reduction in jobs. I just see different things being manufactured.
I just want to add one last thing as we work, directly with companies like Altium and Foxconn and others in the vehicle electrification space. And one thing that our region has certainly had issues with is actually finding enough employees for all of the jobs that are currently there right now. And so I think one of the things that we're going to see with this is the right sizing of the economy and being able to have better paying jobs that people can get those skills on the job and learn those new skills and items as we're going through this process. And so that's what's really exciting, is having better paying jobs that are employing, as many or more people and focusing on that new and exciting space. And that's what we hear every day at Bright, as with Altium and the UAW and others that are in our space every day, is just the exciting new jobs that are coming online and the better paying jobs that are coming online from that perspective. So.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go ahead to our next question. It's from the Week Television in Peoria, Illinois. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We sure can.
Awesome. My name is Sam Matheny. I'm a reporter with 25 News WEEK here in Peoria, Illinois. So that's pretty close to where Isaiah Field in Creve Coeur, right down the street, right? So I wanted to ask a question in terms of the infrastructure for a lot of these electric vehicle like systems. So for example, I know in a lot of more urban areas, especially in bigger cities, they're going to have a lot more charging stations for these electric vehicles. But just taking a drive down here in Peoria, which has about, I don't know, over 100,000 people in the city, it's kind of hard to find these electric vehicle charging stations, even though we do have a major auto supplier like Rivian in Normal in Bloomington. So I guess my question for that is, what's the plan to get like these charging stations to help increase the infrastructure so that these jobs can be created and people can, use their jobs to create something like this, so then electric vehicles can continue to be used here in our region?
Sure, I'm happy to take that one. This is Ian. I would say a couple things. One is that there are new investments in the bipartisan infrastructure law and other pieces of legislation to support the build out of more public charging. Although principally, a lot of charging in practice for electric vehicles takes place at home. While you're on the highway, when you're going to visit grandma, you're likely to use a fast charger, but the vast majority of electric vehicle charging really happens at people's houses. So that creates another question. It's who's going to do that? And we see a really significant growth opportunities for people doing electrical work, doing electric vehicle charging installations at people's homes. But even on a level 1 charger, most folks meet most of their needs for electric vehicles at home, so they charge up at home. And ironically, I actually think areas that are more suburban and have rural elements as well are a little bit better suited for that initially. In urban areas, we need to figure out where to put all these charging stations downtown where folks might not have access to parking. In many Midwestern cities, outside of, say, Chicago, mid-sized cities, where a lot of people actually live, many people have the potential to have access to charging, whether that's in a garage or otherwise.
Ian, I just want to build on that, and very specifically, as we're located in rural Ohio. But 2 points very quickly. Wires and pipes. Wires and pipes are the most important thing that we're going to be building during this energy transition. And a lot of those are built right here in the Midwest. And so we're excited about what's coming on with that. But secondarily, we're seeing in Ohio that actually with vehicle electrification and electrification in general, rural Americans by far have the most to gain in this opportunity, as Personally, I can talk about, I've got a 13-acre hobby farm that I don't have to rely on my gas bill or an electric bill because I have solar and I charge my electric vehicle at home every night and I can drive 250 to 300 miles on that. And so it's a huge opportunity with everything that's been passed and all the jobs that are being created in the space for rural Americans to put solar on their property, cut ties from the government, and be able to really have great opportunities for independence. And so we're really excited about that in Ohio and in this energy transition.
I think it's also a great opportunity, and what we're seeing across the United States and in the Midwest is a chance to reinvent an antiquated system of fueling our economy. Underground metal tanks full of toxic fluid all over the country can now be transformed into solar power and as Rick said, wires and pipes. There's also some very interesting things happening. It's not just charging the vehicles, but the vehicles can also charge other things or shave peak period energy use with the energy still stored in their battery and being able to refuel or recharge that vehicle in the middle of the night when nobody's using the utility. There's also shared resources. When you're talking about buses and trucks and large vehicles, having shared charging rather than individual fuel islands all over industrial areas, there are opportunities to do this better, to do this cleaner, and to do this at a lower cost, and also under the guidance and control of local governments and local communities on how you fuel your economy.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. We're going to go to our Q&A box here for our next question. It's coming from Danielle Kading at Wisconsin Public Radio. She asks, would you be willing to talk a little bit about specific insights in Wisconsin about where you're seeing the most clean jobs and areas where clean energy jobs are growing?
Yeah, I can take that. Wisconsin is home to over 71,000 clean energy jobs. Similar to most of the Midwest state or all of the Midwest states, the most jobs are in energy efficiency. And Wisconsin experienced gains in renewable energy, clean transportation, clean fuels, and grid and storage.
Excellent.
And there's lots more specifics about the data for each state on the Clean Jobs Midwest website.
Thanks, Michaela. Let's go to our next question. It's coming from Jenny Whitten at Chicago Daily Herald. Jenny, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Jenny Whitten. I'm a climate and environment reporter with the Daily Herald in the Chicago suburbs. My question is something that Michaela mentioned earlier about kind of next steps in terms of local policy and state policy. Michaela, you mentioned that Illinois needs stricter building standards and car emission standards. And I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit more specifically at what those steps would look like, and then why these types of standards are important in this greater context of clean jobs. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Well, in Illinois, 2 years ago, actually, we just passed the 2-year anniversary of the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. And that really positioned Illinois as a leader in tackling climate emissions from the power sector. But and as we've talked about already on this press call, we've seen and will continue to see huge gains in clean energy jobs thanks to that state law and the Inflation Reduction Act. But there's more that we need to do in Illinois beyond tackling emissions from the power sector. Some of the biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions are transportation and buildings. So in my remarks, I highlighted 2 opportunities. One, and maybe I'll pass it to you next, Nate, to talk a little bit more about the clean truck standards, but would require that Illinois sells an increasing percentage of zero emission trucks, which would make a huge impact in tackling emissions from the transportation sector. And there's also an opportunity to start transitioning our building sector to be electric and cleaner and more efficient. So we are advocating at the city of Chicago to take a big step in the right direction by requiring that newly constructed buildings be all electric. And that's something that we hope to see happen in the coming months in the city of Chicago. So 2 opportunities that will not only be very impactful as far as impacting climate emissions, but will create huge amounts of jobs in the city and state. Nate can speak better to the job opportunities that we see with clean truck standards. But when we look to electrifying the building sector, we're supporting what is the biggest part of the clean energy industry already, which is energy efficiency. We need people to be going into homes, to be updating windows, updating insulation, making them more comfortable, healthier, and also, of course, use less energy and transition those buildings to be all electric as well.
Thanks, Michaela. Yeah, and we fully support the advanced clean trucks movement in the state of Illinois, as we have across the United States. Most of when you're looking at class 6, class 5 trucks that operate in suburban and urban areas are doing much fewer than 200 miles per day, which fits right in the duty cycle of electric trucks, which operate not just cleaner, but more economically for businesses that are operating trucks. And also when you look at community impacts, it's not just air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, but it's noise pollution. Early morning deliveries in an electric truck are going to be much more friendly to communities. And we're ready to build these here in the Midwest. In fact, not only are we supporting legislation and policy, but Lion is building its own internal policy through its ESG guidelines that if you want to sell parts and supply this massive factory we've built in the Midwest, then you will be delivering those parts on zero emission trucks, electric trucks. So we're really looking to expand that and create an ecosystem and really push the momentum of this on multiple levels.
Great. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Michaela. And it looks like we've got a follow-up question coming from the Week Television in Peoria. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask Nate about those electric trucks that you're referring to. How much of I know in the long run, it's going to save energy for our communities, for our atmosphere, our ecosystem, our climate. And I'm just kind of curious, like, how much would that cost? Like, what's the price difference between maybe using like a diesel powered truck right now and then maybe like a completely clean green energy truck? I mean, what is the price difference in that?
Well, there's a couple of answers there. If you look at sticker price right now, there is a disparity between the fossil fuel and the electric vehicle. The electric vehicles are more expensive for an opening price. And that's why these incentives are so important to just get volumes up, get this industry moving forward. But even today, right now, when you look at the total cost of ownership, especially when you're talking about electric trucks, the total cost of ownership pencils out for fleets that are doing enough miles on these vehicles. That is right now today, even with the current price tag, it's much less expensive to operate an electric truck than it is a diesel truck over the life of that vehicle. It compounds over time with much fewer parts, no oil changes, all of these things, and then the significantly lower cost of energy to just fuel the truck in the first place. So that's really the challenge is switching the budgeting of how businesses look at this to a total cost of ownership and not just comparing sticker price upfront, because the economics work now today.
Thanks, Nate. Really well said. All right, I am not seeing any additional. Taking another follow-up here from the week. Go ahead. I'm guessing it was related to what Nate just said.
Yes, it was. Thank you. Don't mean to grill you here, Nate. So you mentioned, so the question I was going to follow up with was in terms of like, let's say a truck has to drive farther than like 200 or 300 miles. I mean, is the threshold for like how far you can go in like an electric delivery truck? Let's say, well, let me back up for a second. Does this have to do with semi trucks at all? Like, does this have anything to do with them, or is these like smaller delivery trucks that we're referring to?
Yeah, it's a number of things. And again, it really what's driving what I'm talking about is the duty cycle of a truck. When you're talking about drayage trucks or trucks coming out of ports and taking them to distribution centers, even the mileage on that function fits within what EV can operate. Where the limitations are really over the road. You're not going to take an EV tractor from San Antonio, Texas to, Bar Harbor, Maine at this point. But all technology evolves. I believe that is going to happen someday. But right now, most of the trucks and where a significant amount of these emissions and costs for small and medium and large businesses are for those box delivery trucks that you see every day on the road, taking product all over your city, all over your suburban area, and even rural areas. And again, 200 miles, most of these fleets are doing much less than that, 120 to 180 in a day, because they stop, they unload, or they're at a loading dock. So EV really makes a lot of sense. You're not sitting there idling, burning fuel. You can stop, you can load, you can unload, and do a lot of things. And it's really all about duty cycle.
Excellent. All right. Well, as a reminder, we are kind of winding down, but if you do have a question and you're a reporter, you can use the raise your hand function, or you can type your question into the Q&A box, and we'll take a look there. And if you do need to connect with any of these speakers you're hearing from today, you can do it offline. Just contact Max Carlin at 703-276-3255. Again, that's 703-276-3255. And as I said earlier, there's a recording of this news event that'll be online. It'll be on E2's YouTube. It'll be on the Clean Jobs Midwest website, cleanjobsmidwest.com. There you can also find the reports, the media materials, one-stop shop for everything. And before we close it down, we do have another question. Oh, nope, it was just a thank you from the week. Appreciate it. So once again, thank you so much for joining this news event held by E2 and Evergreen Climate Solutions. That concludes today's news event. We hope you all have a great day. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.